Alright guys, so we are back for another Should You Guys Summon. So this time around we are taking a look at the supposedly 2.5 year anniversary banner, the purple unicorn perfectibility NTD. So on JP this was part of his first part 1 of the 2.5 year anniversary banner, but for global they decided in its best interest to just accelerate this banner a year in advance, which I don't mind that because it's actually a good thing because there's gonna be a lot of like banner that's they will be pumping out in like the next few weeks or a few months where you can just skip them because they become obsolete. You don't like why would you even want to go for some of them? So I think it's actually a good thing because that will allow you to really save for some of like the bigger hitter. Like I was assuming the O was gonna come out, but I guess in their defense, like we're not really ready for that unit at the moment, which I think is true. Like that unit potentially could be the biggest game changer in all sorts of game content, in general content, in arena. I think that unit does have the ability to do so. So the fact that they're not releasing it right at this moment, I think it's actually a wise decision. But the fact that they're releasing a 2.5 year anniversary banner units, and you might think, wow, this must be one of the more giga powerful unit, which to some extent, yes, this unit does have some pretty cracked ability, skills, description that you can take a look at, which I think that's true. But on the flip side, there are some concern that I feel like when they made this unit, I think they're definitely holding back, and because like looking at it retrospective, man, units that comes out after this unit like power creep accelerate to the roof. Like the unit that we get after that, I'm like wow, it really makes this unit like a is like a 9 day difference. So yeah, I mean for global, this is gonna be one of the better units to have for like even like the foreseeable few months. Like when I say like 6 months plus probably. So it's gonna be pretty cracked. One thing I do like about this unit, my first point of like why this unit is somewhat of a good value is the 10 seconds inflict. Pretty much you can cancel your opponent's ability to regenerate HP. So this one is good because it will come a time where content, I mean even right now in Total War, you guys do know how annoying the healing is. So this is a good way to alleviate that problem. It's a good detergent to that. So I mean I'm getting it simply for that because I don't like, to my recollection, I don't think there is another unit that has similar capability. I could be wrong, but at least for global, this is first of its kind. So I do see very high value of that. So I personally use it when I do see an enemy that has this insane healing capability. I'm like, you know what? Let me grab unicorn, and then we can just temporarily just stop some of those healing. So that's good. I'm getting a simply for that. So going to the skill 1. On skill 1, you are getting increased critical rate against enemy that has the status up to 66%. So I mean this unit is pretty good to self-sustain as far as like populous critical. So that's actually nice. And then on critical attack, you are getting 6% EX skill gauge, which certainly helps. But yeah, even with this, you are still taking quite the time to actually charge up the EX skill gauge. So that is definitely something to consider about. Maybe with the unit enhancement, you want to bump up those recovery as well. So I would definitely advise that. And then on landing critical attacks, you are gaining beam damage as well, stacking up to 5 times of 17%. So that's pretty good. So as far as like just increasing damage, you have the base one 58%, and then you have another. This should be up to 80%, right? If a quick map is correct. So it's, yeah, you are getting at max capacity. You could get up to, what is it, like 130 or 138 somewhere around that. So it's pretty good. And skill 2 is pretty good, right? And you have some damage cap increase up to 600,000, which I think this one for global wise this should be the highest one, if not, right? I think that's the highest cap we have so far. And for JPYs right now, we see things that are like within 2 million, 3 million, or somewhere around that nature. So these are just gonna get higher and higher as we get a lot of these units, but they still have to backtrack to a lot of the older ones. So 600,000 is gonna be the highest you will see probably for some time. This is where it kind of get crazy. This unit loves to jam, apply the jamming status. So this one is only default for the first 18 seconds, and it is only to the cycle frame type unit. So this is the portion that I dislike about this unit, because there's no way to actually self-sustain the jamming status on the enemy. I would have loved the fact that they would add that on here, but have they done that? I mean, this unit would have been cracked as heck. Okay, if they had that built in, so I understand. This is not even feasible because cycle frame type is not really like a big portion of this game, because that's only things with like new Gundam, Sasabi, Senenju, all the unicorns, and what is there out there? I don't think there's a lot. And anything before like the timeline 90s to like 97 or something around that nature, they are either new type machines or they're none of that. So the fact that this is only the cycle frame, it is a little bit restricted in a way. So most often or not, you're not going to be getting that. So depending on the content you're looking at, especially clan battle, it might work for this one, but it may not work for next one. So this is a hit or miss. So in terms of getting, this is the part that I feel like, gosh, like I wish that they would have done better, but they did not. So in terms of getting this for global, there's not really a lot of great option except for Dag Dog, which instantly just apply it when hitting for 2.5 seconds. So that is like, I feel like it's the main go-to, because we have things like this guy here. What do you need? A cycle frame, and then is it in here? I'm gonna check. The green perfectibility, the non-NTD version, that one also apply what is it, jamming status as well. But that one is also locked to cycle frame as well. So yeah, there's certainly a problem where there's not a lot of jamming status support, and I know a lot of people are gonna be asking, well, what does jamming status actually do? Well, in the sense of like the game mechanics, it is probably one of the less popular feature, where it essentially it forces your opponent, or I shouldn't say forces, but there is a chance where the enemy will do 1 damage to you. So that is simply it. It is a way to see if you can just make your enemy not do as much damage, which, I mean, is it game breaking? Is that like a game breaking mechanism? I don't think it is. But as far as what you can get out of the jamming status with unit that has the list of buffs, it's pretty powerful. You get up to 111% critical attack. Okay, that is not increased beam damage, but that is critical attack. So that is nuts, because in my initial run where I did not use C packs to apply the jamming status, I was like, why is the damage a little bit lackluster? But once we apply the jamming status, dude, this unit literally doubles the amount of damage that you can do. So any unit moving forward that will be of a good support to the jam, to apply jamming, is gonna help out this unit by a long shot. So there you have it. So increased accuracy as well. So these two are crazy, but they are at a very high ceiling of a cost. You do need support to make this work. So it's not a unit that you can just kind of use straight out of the box. You need some support. In a sense, I think the best one is definitely going to be Dag Dog. That one is the best one out there. So unfortunately, that one is not really going to be meta relevant for any foreseeable future. So it is unfortunate, but yeah. So this unit does have its pros and cons, but I think the pros definitely outweighs the cons. So we do have that. As far as the weaponry, we have just the armed armor BS, and then we have the hyper beam javelin, and then the armor DE. So not really doing a lot of hits in a lot of them, so it is of a concern because landing those critical attack is really important. If you miss one or two, that is going to be a huge problem in terms of stacking up this right here. But in terms of the Transcendent skill, it's pretty much like your basic 3-piece combo, but this one actually does give you the HP restoration. So that's actually pretty nice because I don't know why, but some of the later release unit, they don't tend to self-sustain in the HP department as in healing. They do have a lot of like, I guess, defensive built-in mechanism where you just reduce damage and whatnot, but I think healing is fine. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, that's another nice feature as well. All right, Banagher. So I feel like Banagher could be a hit or miss or not, depending on if you guys do have diamonds left over to summon for it. Because when we do take a look at the whole roster for Banagher, there's Banagher A, there's Banagher B, and there is Banagher C. So you guys can definitely see we have a large roster of Banaghers, and I would argue most of them does kind of work hand in hand with each other. So realistically speaking, do you really need to summon for it? Not really. Like even this one for the blue unicorn NTD, you have generic, you have the Laplace incident. So this one is giving you one stack, and then another stack, and another stack. So do you really need it? I don't think so. So if you guys are lacking diamonds and you want to save up for something in the future and you want to skip it, you can definitely do so. But I'll definitely say as far as this Banagher, it does give you some other buffs that the other Banaghers may not have. Things like those critical rate increase, so that could be really important to the unit itself. And then just extra buffing when you are landing critical attack. So it starts on 46 and you can stack up to 5 times. So they really weight in the importance of landing those critical attacks and being able to stack a lot of those. But like I said again, if you cannot get this version of the Banagher, don't uh, don't stress on it because there's just a lot of variance to it, and eventually you guys will be able to pull it because y'all know on the initial banner you don't really get a good chance of pulling it until it reruns. So if you do miss it, it's alright. You can just come back around whenever the super limited banner comes back. But there you guys have it. Yeah, I strongly do advise you guys to summon for at least one copy and then call it a day, because this unit for sure it is going to just outclass any of the other one that they have their backtrack, like GPO3, the Heartbeat Zeta, the one that transformed into the Wave Rider, and what else would there be out there that I feel like it's a skip? I don't know if you want to skip New Gundam Double Fin Funnel, because that one gives you a new mechanics called the Assault Status, which does go off. It does actually counter unit that has perfect card relatively nice. So I think at least there's gonna be 2 that you can skip, so that is a good thing. But other than that, that's going to be it for me, and I will be catching you guys all on the next one.